Welcome to our TMMI video presentation today. Today's topic, we'd like to talk about Emerson high availability RX3i controllers and how to make programming changes while keeping the process running. We're going to do this by making three simple changes. First off, we'll make a change to the logic and then download that and update the controllers. Second, we'll be modifying the transfer list and doing a dual run mode store to update the controller. And finally, we're going to do a hardware configuration change. In my lab today, I have my primary and my secondary PLCs. Your power supply, CPE330. We have the redundancy exchange module, which is connected over fiber optics to its secondary redundant exchange module. This keeps our transfer list synchronized. Then I also have a Profinet controller, which is connected to some Profinet scanner RX3i EPIO below. So that's our setup that we're going to be working with. Okay, well, let's go ahead and jump into this and get working on it. To get started with, I have my primary configuration connected to the PLC. I am running with my configuration equal, my logic is equal. If I click on my fault tables, I can also see that my primary unit is active and my secondary unit is available as backup. So we have our system all running, and we're going to just make a logic change. I'm going to put in a normally open contact, and I'll choose lose equality here. And I'll call this my start. And then I'm going to add a coil, and I'll call this the motor. Okay, we've made our logic change, and we can see down here that the logic is now listed as not equal. And the idea is we want to update both primary and secondary controllers. We can do this by simply doing a run mode store by clicking on the download button here. It'll build our project to make sure there's no errors or warnings, and then I can hit OK. Now the download is complete. The config and logic are equal, so that's been updated. If I wish to update my secondary controller now, I need to disconnect from the primary. You'll note that when I switch my hardware configuration, that the bold text here on the primary will switch down to the secondary. So when I do connect, it's going to connect to the target that has the bold text. So I'm now connecting up to the secondary. You can see that it is also running. I'm in monitor mode, and that my logic is not equal because it doesn't have this rung of logic in it at this point. I'll go to programmer mode, and then I'm going to choose download. And the download is complete, and the logic on both primary and secondary have been updated. Okay, let's disconnect from our secondary. Go to our primary, and this time I'm going to go and work on the transfer lists, and I want to add my start variable that I see over here in my variable inspector. I want to add it to the input transfer list, so I'll change that to true. And then on my motor, I want to put it in the output transfer list. Make sure that's true. So start is going to be in the input, and motor is going to be the output transfer list. Okay, I'm going to hit the save button here to update it. And then I'm going to go back over and connect to my primary controller. Okay, the primary controller is connected. I'm going to hit the program mode so that I can make changes, and I'm going to click the download button. This time I want you to note that the do synchronize activation of redundant controllers is checked. If we make transfer list changes, we need to make sure that this is checked. So I'll hit OK on this. Okay, so it's downloaded to the primary, but it isn't synchronized until I go and download to the secondary. You can see over here it says configuration not equal at the moment. So to get this equal, we disconnect from primary. Set the secondary as our active target. I'm going to connect up with the secondary now to do the download for the secondary. Go to programmer mode so we can make the change and hit the download button. You can see it says synchronization right here as well. We can see that our configuration is not equal, and I will hit OK to send the download in. Now I have the configuration is equal, the logic is equal, and if we go back to our primary controller, we can see that it is also going to be equal and everything is running. So connecting up to primary. There we go, config equal and logic is equal. Perfect. So that's our first two cases we talked about. One, we made the simple logic change, and then we made a change to the transfer list. Next, I want to demonstrate how to do a hardware change in our hardware configuration. So I'm going to go over to our hardware configuration on our primary, and I'm going to select this analog card, and I'm going to change the reference address location of where the values are going to be stored. I'm going to change it from AI1 to AI11. So I've made that change, and then I'm also going to go over to my primary. Since I've made that change, I'm going to go over to the redundancy. I'm going to hit mirror. This will copy all of the changes I made on my primary, and it will mirror it down to the secondary rack. So this address will now be changed on our secondary as well. And just for good measure, I'll mirror the hardware configuration that was in the whole system. And now I'm going to save this, so it's being saved to the system, and we're going to go back and look and see primary unit is active and secondary is backup. Since this is a hardware configuration change, you'll notice that it says configuration is not equal. To get the configuration equal, we're going to need to stop our processor. But right now our primary unit is the active unit. It is the one that is currently running the plant. Now what I want to do is a roll switch. I want to switch my primary from running the plant to the secondary to be running the plant. And this can be done in several ways. First off, you could programmatically execute this service request function number 26, and that will create a roll switch. Alternatively, you could press the buttons on the redundancy exchange module in the rack. That will also institute a roll switch. Or if you simply stop the processor, it'll automatically roll switch. In my case, I'm going to run this service request. I have an input that is tied to number 14 here. I'm going to press that button now. And when I press it, I'm going to let you guys watch the update happen here. So when my hardware configuration default table updates, you'll see the secondary unit is active and the primary is backup. So now that my secondary is currently running the process and keeping the plant going, I can go back to my main program here, and now I'm at a point where I can stop the controller to do this change. So I'll hit stop. This will drop out the run on the primary. Remember, we're still running on the secondary, so it's keeping everything going. And then I'm going to do my download. So we're building our project, and then we're going to be downloading it directly into the system. Okay, we're complete. Notice my configuration says equal here, and I'm going to put us back into run mode on the primary. Okay, so the primary is now running, but it is still not the active controller. If we go back to our secondary is running the program. So what I want to do is, since I'm going to have to stop the secondary, I want to roll switch it back to the primary. I'm going to press my input number 14 again, and that will roll switch me back to have the primary unit active, and now the secondary is backup. So I'm going to disconnect here from our primary controller, go to our secondary controller, connect up on that, go to my programmer mode. We can see it's still active here, and I want to do the download to update the secondary. Oh, I forgot to stop it. Can't do the update without stopping the controller. Stop it, then do the download. Remember, primary is still running the plant. So over here you can see configuration is not equal. So we are going to write to the controller right now to update that hardware configuration with that new reference address that we put in on this analog input module. Okay, and then we can put it back in to run mode. All right, so primary is running, the secondary is now back up and it's ready to go. That concludes our presentation today. Thank you for watching.